Good evening. So as I promised, magbibigay po ako sa inyo ng lecture regarding po sa periodic entry method at saka sa perpetual entry method. What is the difference between these two entry method in merchandising? So I have here the example or sample transactions kung saan meron tayong recording process ng periodic at saka recording process ng perpetual. So as I've told you before, wala naman silang gaanong pinagkaiba. The only difference is the terminologies kung saan iba yung terminologies for periodic and iba din yung terminologies for perpetual. But somehow, the process and procedure as well as the principle is the same with this item is the same. As you can see, meron tayo ditong, di ba sa merchandising, we have purchase account at saka meron tayong sales account. So, both entry method or both method uses purchase account and sales account. Somehow, ang difference lang nila is the terminology. So, mamaya makikita natin yan. Let us go back to our previous discussion. When it comes to periodic entry method, nandito siya. So, apat lang yung mga purchase account na na-identify natin before. First, meron tayong na-identify na purchases, purchase returns and allowances, purchase discount, at saka freight in. So, parte siya ng purchases. And then sa sales naman, na-identify din natin, mamaya nandiyan sa baba, yung sales naman, na-identify din natin na meron tayong sales account or the revenue account, meron din tayong sales returns and allowances, sales discount, at saka yung freight out po natin. So yan po, bali, dito po sa ating periodic entry method, nagdagdag lang tayo ng 8 accounts title from services. The rest of the accounts from services na applicable dito sa ating merchandising na pag-usapan na po natin yan, nandito pa rin po sila sa ating merchandising entry. Now, let's go to the sample problem. So, I know that you are aware kung paano i-record yung ganitong klaseng transactions. Diba, pag sinabi nating purchase merchandise on account, ibig sabihin, bumili ng mga paninda ng utang. So, ang role niya dito is purchaser. Meaning to say, yung product, papasok po sa kanya. Di ba? So, anong entry po natin dyan? Ang entry po dyan is purchases and then accounts payable. Refer to the transaction, sabi niya on account. So, meaning, inutang niya po yan. So, with regard doon sa mga terms and conditions and mga discount period, hindi ko na yun binigay dito because I will make a separate video for that. So, sabi dito, return defective purchases. So, meron tayong entry dyan, accounts payable. Siyempre, ito po yung hindi niya binayaran, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, babawasan po yung accounts payable niya and yung product po na binalik, ang tawag po natin dyan is purchase returns and allowances. Then, for number 3 transaction, we have paid purchases on account less return with discount. So, nagbayad na siya, di ba? So, ano ang sinasabi dyan? Pag nagbayad po, ibig sabihin, ito pong accounts payable na ito na binayaran niya na, so magiging debit na po siya. Of course, less discount, ito po siya, may discount po siya. So dapat, kung halimbawa, ang inutang niya po is 10,000, sa uli po siya ng 1,000. So all in all, 9,000 na lang po yung total due or payable. At yun po ang didiscountan po natin. Example, the discount is 2%. What is 2% of 9,000? So yun po yung magiging discount niya lang dito. Okay? Then of course, nare-recognize po natin sa credit side yung cash and purchase discount. So ang cash po dito is based po doon sa net nung 2%. Diba? So example, the total purchases here is 10,000. So therefore, the accounts payable is 10,000. Then we have here accounts payable and the returns, assuming that the return is 1,000. So therefore, magkakaroon po tayo ng entry dito na 1,000. Magkano na lang yung net payable niya? 10,000 minus 1,000 is equals to 9,000. So yun po ang lalabas po dito. Net payable, 9,000 pesos. Magkano ang cash? Hindi po yun eksaktong 9,000 pesos. Babawasan po siya ng 2% discount. What is 2% of 9,000? 9 times 2 is 180. So 180 yung discount and then yung cash po natin is not 9,000. 9,000 minus 180. So mahina po ako sa math. Bahala na po kayo dyan. Next, number 4 is the freight in and cash. Meaning, the buyer, yung buyer, shoulder the transportation cost amounting to, etc., etc. So, magiging pong debit dyan is freight in and cash. But I know that you're aware of this because for the past few weeks, ito po yung naging discussion na, laman ng ating discussion. So, I know that you are aware of this. as well as meron tayong assignment din sa inyo. So, maaaring makukuha niyo na po ito. So ngayon, puntahan po natin yung journal entry pagdating po sa perpetual method. So ito po, we will be using perpetual entry method. Ano ba pagkakaiba ng perpetual at saka ng periodic? So sabi ko nga sa inyo kanina, there is no such thing as big difference between these two animal. The only difference is the usage of the accounting terminologies. Ano ba yung sinabi ko sa inyo before? In merchandising, in perpetual entry method, we convert the purchase account to merchandise inventory account only. Nag-iisa na lang siya, di ba? We have purchase return, purchase discount, purchase account, and the freight in. Yan pong apat na yan will be converted to a single account which is merchandise inventory. Now, take a look at the example. So, the same example po tayo to compare the answer from the right side is perpetual entry method, and for the left side, nandyan po yung periodic. Let us compare. So, the first transaction is this purchases or the purchase of the merchandise. So, ano po ang nilagay dito ni journal entry natin sa perpetual? We use po the term merchandise inventory. What is the difference between the two? There's none. Only the term, di ba? Kasi ang ginamit po dito is purchases, but in here, ginamit po natin dito is merchandise inventory pa din. But the same debit, only the term differs, right? And the same credit, accounts payable. So yun lang po ang pinagbago. Whenever you encounter purchase account, keep in mind that you need to what? You need to transfer that term instead of using purchase account, or purchase returns and allowances account, print in account, you will use merchandise inventory account. To indicate na po ay kasali po yan sa purchases. Okay? So that is the difference between journalizing transaction ng ating perpetual at saka po ng ating periodic entry method. Now, let us take a look at the second transaction. We have here accounts payable, accounts payable. Ano ito? Nung nagsauli siya ng product, di ba? So accounts payable pa din, the same accounts payable pa rin here. And of course, instead of using merchandise purchase returns and allowances, we used merchandise inventory. Okay? So, ilang beses nang nagamit yung yung merchandise inventory na? Dalawa. Saan? Purchases, and purchase returns and allowance. What else? So, another example. The purchase discount naman. As you can see, here, we use again the accounts payable kasi nagbayad na siya. So, madidebit yung accounts payable. And yung ating cash, yung pinambayad niya. And of course, the discount is converted again to merchandise inventory. So, figure out the transaction. Makikita nyo dito na gawa kayo ng table. Periodic versus perpetual. What is the difference between these two? When we talk about purchase account, in periodic, we use purchases, purchase returns and allowances, purchase discount, and freight in. While in periodic entry method, we only use merchandise inventory to substitute itong 4 accounts title na ginagamit natin sa periodic. Okay? So we have also here another example, yung freight in. So freight in sa kanya is again, merchandise inventory. So paulit-ulit lang tayo niyan. Basta yung apat na yon, apat na accounts title from periodic, magiging na po siyang merchandise inventory. Just convert. The process and procedure, the analysis of the transaction is the same. Basta ang gagawin nyo lang is convert the term, the accounts title, to merchandise inventory. Okay? So yan lang po ang paulit-ulit kong sinasabi sa inyo para hindi po kayo malito. And besides, sinasabi ko sa inyo, mas madali pong intindihin ang ating perpetual kaysa kay periodic. Mas madaling gawin. Sinasabi ko na yan sa inyo. Now, tapos na tayo sa purchase account. Punta naman po tayo sa sales account. Okay? May mga sample din dito. So, periodic entry method, sample sales transaction for perpetual. Ito po siya. Sold merchandise on account. Ano ang entry niya? Account receivable and sales. I know that you are familiar with this. So, the same pa rin. When you sold merchandise on account, meaning to say, hindi ka nakatanggap ng pera from the customer, pero yung product nag-out na. So, therefore, income na po siya. But definitely, hindi ka magre-record ng cash dyan because wala ka pa namang nare-receive, di ba? So, account receivable muna and then credit sales. How about number 2? Sabi niya, receive return from customer on account. Ang sabi niya dito, sales returns in allowance and account receivable. Because hindi naman talaga dito binayaran ng customer. So dito, babawasan mo lang yung marireceive mo sa kanya because of the returns. Maybe that is a defective product, di ba? Then for number 3, we have receive payment from customer on account, less return with discount. So nagbayad ng customer. So ano mangyayari dyan? Cash, of course, then sales discount, and account receivable. Okay? So wawalain mo na yung hold mo against the account receivable. Ibabalik mo na yan sa kanya kasi nagbayad na po siya ng cash. Then kung mapapansin mo, ito yung mga entries na ginagamit natin sa ngayon. So same pa rin, wala pa kayong kalituan dyan kasi naturo ko na sa inyo to. Then of course, the freight out or the expense on the part of the seller. So freight out cash, ganun pa rin po siya. Okay? Ngayon, ano lang po ang pinagkaiba natin dito sa ating perpetual entry method? Sa perpetual entry method, if you will observe, kung kanina, yung 4 na accounts title, yung purchases, purchase returns and allowances, purchase discount, at saka yung freight in, binago natin sa perpetual, ginagawa natin siyang merchandise inventory account lang. Isa lang siya, di ba? Ngayon, meron pa pong dagdag. Dito po sa ating sales transaction, ang dinagdag po dito is yung ating cost of goods sold. Ano po ba yung cost of goods sold na yan? If you will remember, kapag kayo ay nasa periodic, nagko-compute pa tayo ng cost of goods sold, right? Kino-compute natin yung cost of goods sold. But in perpetual, we don't need to compute the cost of goods sold dun sa mga schedule na ginagawa natin because automatically your ledger for cost of goods sold will tell you what is the balance at the end of the month. In what way? First, meron po talagang account na cost of goods sold kung perpetual po ang gagamitin po ninyo. Tingnan po natin. Saan siya lalabas? Dito po sa ating sales account. Pagka nagbenta po siya, sold merchandise on account, automatic po yan sa perpetual, ina-identify na po natin kung magkano po yung puhunan nung naibenta. Yun po ang ibig sabihin ng cost of goods sold. From the word itself, cost of the goods that has been sold. So ano ba ang magkano ba yung naging halaga nung binenta mo? Example, you purchase product, 10,000 yung pagkakabili mo and then binenta mo siya ng 15,000. So what is the cost of the goods sold? The cost is 10,000. The difference or the margin between 15,000 and 10,000 is your gross profit. So always remember that. So makikita nyo yan doon sa ating preparation ng income statement. So sold merchandise on account, dito po lalabas yung cost of goods sold kasi dito ka nagbenta. Automatically upon sale, dinidetermine na po natin yung cost of sale or the cost of goods sold. Okay? Makikita po natin dito, meron po tayong 4 na entry for number 1. Ano ang mga nangyari dyan? Inulit po natin yung account receivable and sales. Ayan. Kasi hindi siya nagbayad, di ba? And revenue account. Pero meron po sa susunod na entry na cost of goods sold and merchandise inventory. Yung iba, kinukompound nila ito. So, bali dalawang debit, dalawa rin yung credit. But in my case, for the purpose of this study, so lalagyan po natin sila ng dalawang entry. Pero same date po siya. Okay? So first, lalagay po natin yung nature ng transaction, account receivable and sales. This one, ilalagay mo po dito yung 15,000. Example, di ba yung kanina natin? You sold merchandise to a customer amounting to 15,000 pesos. So ang entry mo po dito is account receivable, 15,000 pesos, and sales, 15,000 pesos. Lagyan po natin ng entry yan. So assuming that the entry here is 15,000 pesos. And for sales, also 15,000 pesos. Ayan, liitan natin kasi, ano lang, ano natin kasi medyo mag-move na siya. Okay? Always remember, nasa credit yan ha, baka malito kayo. Then, what about the cost of goods sold? So remember, based on my example a while ago, if you purchased your product worth 10,000 pesos and you sold it to a customer amounting to 15,000, ganito po ang magre-reflect dyan. Ito po, gagawin mo po itong 10,000 pesos. Okay? Ayan, nagsobra-sobra na sila. So ito po magiging 10,000 pesos and also ito 10,000 pesos. Okay? So magiging po siyang 10,000. Kayo na, kasi nabababa eh. Kainis naman to. So ayan, cost of goods sold 10,000, merchandise inventory 10,000 pesos. The difference between the two or the margin between this 15 and 10,000 pesos is your gross sales. Malalaman ninyo yan when you prepare your financial statement. So always remember, kapag may sales account, ito lang po ang may cost of goods sold pag nasa perpetual ka po, ha? Yun lang po ang changes. As you can see, sales returns and allowances is sales returns and allowances and account receivable, the same. Cash and cash discount is the same, and freight out cash, the same. So, to sum up, the difference between periodic and perpetual is only the terminologies or the accounting titles used in perpetual and in periodic. What are those? If you are in a periodic entry method, use purchase account such as purchases, purchase returns and allowances, purchase discount, and freight in. Then sa sales, you use sales account. We have sales, sales returns and allowances, sales discount, and freight out. While in perpetual, we convert the purchase accounts, yung apat, into merchandise inventory. Diba? And then automatically, when you sold your product, we automatically recognize the cost of sale or the cost of goods sold. Okay? So I hope na malinaw po yan. By Monday, maglalagay po ako ng mga sample dito to make it more clear and understandable. Thank you very much for watching. Next video ko po dito is meron na po siyang entry and yung pagpiprepare na po ng financial report. Okay po? Thank you very much.